UFC 309 wrapped up last weekend, and today, man, I'm about to go over the recap as well as make some fights for the notable fighters on the card. Look, man, not my best performance by any means. Shit happens, but I'm looking to get back at it at the Macau card. So hopefully I do well there. But yeah, not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into the main event. John Jones TKO Stipe Miocic via a spinning kick. And look, man, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, man. Stipe looked absolutely atrocious, horrible. Um, Terrible. Worse than the Ngannou fight. Uh, no footwork whatsoever. Cement feet. Could not move his feet. No athletic ability, and that's just what happens when you get old. I don't even think it was ring rust or any. He was just old. He's just old. You could see that, man. It was atrocious. I wish he would have never taken that fight. He should have retired after the Ngannou fight, but he didn't. And now he comes back and fights John Jones and gets destroyed. But I'm not even joking, man. I'd probably pick Marcin Tybura to beat Stipe. I'm serious, man. It was that bad of a performance. I don't know if he could beat anybody in the top 15 at heavyweight, bro. It was really, really bad. It's a very big deterioration of a generational fighter, and I'm glad he retired. There was nothing else for him. Obviously, man, he looked very, very bad, stiff as ever, man. The punches had no thud, nothing behind them, pillows behind them. And, you heard the commentary team the whole entire fights or whatever, the UFC, oh, this is the baddest man. He's got a heavy right hand and one of the best boxers. Man, he looked atrocious. And I don't want people to say John made him look that way. No, he didn't. Okay. Like, bro, Curtis Blades would have gone out there and destroyed Stipe. All right. You go higher. I think Derek Lewis would have beat Stipe. It was so bad. It was very, very bad. But on the other side, you got John. And I will say, I thought he looked good, but I thought he looked slimmer. And that's what I want to take away from this is you go to the back to the Gon fight, he looked a little bit heavy. And this time he comes in a little bit slimmer, a little bit more athletic, good movement, faster. And you kind of wonder because obviously the next fight to make is Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. We're not doing Alex Pereira. We're not doing this, fading and ducking away from fights. The fight to make is Tom Aspinall and John Jones. I don't care what it is. That has to be the fight. But yeah, you kind of wonder, is John going to try and come in heavier to match Aspinall's weight? Or is he going to try to come in, in that shape where he did look a lot better, actually? I don't think it matters. I think Tom Aspinall is going to beat the hell out of John Jones either way. People are going, oh, John looks so good. He's going to kill Aspinall. Come on, man. It's just not going to be that way, okay? That was just a showcase fight, and I can't even imagine what would Tom Aspinall do to Miocic? He would have put him out in 10 seconds. He would have put him out in 10 seconds, okay? Let's not get that twisted. But yeah, man, obviously the fight to make is going to be John Jones, Tom Aspinall. There's no other way around it. I'd like to see that fight. I mean, I don't want to wait that long, but let's do it. Try to do it around April. That would make sense. I mean, it's not a crazy amount of time off, but knowing John and what he, represents and whatever he's doing, he's probably going to wait till September around there. So yeah, man, overall, John Jones, pretty good win. Just Stipe looked mediocre or not even mediocre, horrible. Yeah, the fight to make is without a doubt Tom Aspinall, John Jones. So yeah, man, let's move for on. The co-main event. Charles Oliveira beats Michael Chandler to a decision. And I don't think a lot of people, had a decision for that fight, but I really thought Charles took a fantastic approach to this fight. I really do think that was the best game plan he could have taken. Obviously, in my video breaking down that fight, I didn't really think it'd go that way. But look, man, Michael Chandler is as dangerous as it comes. And I thought Charles did a good job neutralizing that, trying to take the gas tank, the endurance, the power away from Michael Chandler, even though in the fifth round it came out again. But that's a very smart game plan, man. Charles is so elite on the ground, and if he can get you in a position where he can control you, you're probably not going to get up, and that's what happened. So hats off to Charles. He came in there with a great game plan and executed it perfectly. It got a little bit crazy there in the fifth. But let's go to that fifth round. Michael Chandler comes out there and, lands some bombs on Charles. And, you kind of see the weird Charles chin or durability situation where he kind of just backs up and starts touching his eye. I don't know. He always does some weird shit like that, or like falls into guard. It's like weird. You don't really know when he's really hurt or not. But I do think he was hurt. And Chandler overswung and fell down, which I would definitely expect. I mean, the guy is so wild. Like, you can see him loading up his punches every single time, and people still don't know how to get out of the way of it. And I don't know how, but yeah, man, he overswung and Charles took his back and rode it out. And Michael Chandler gets up and slams him again. Look, I love Michael Chandler, man. He's a great fighter, a great guy, and very, very entertaining. And as for what's next for both of these guys, I guess Charles is going to be, a title challenger. And it's very weird. It's a really weird situation, actually, because you kind of look at the lightweight division and you're like, damn, bro, Sarukian, Makhachev. Look, in my eyes, I think Makhachev's going to go out there and win that fight. A decision where it's a little bit close, but he controls the action on the feet. But if he wins, and then you go up, because Bilal's going to be champion still, you kind of wonder, is he going to go up to welterweight or is he going to stay down and fight Charles again? So it's kind of weird, but I do think that's going to happen because Bilal is not going to lose, bro. He's not losing. He's not losing to anybody. But yeah, Charles is going to probably fight Makhachev or Sarukian, and that's still a long layoff, man. So he's going to have to come in there prepared, and I hope he gives a little bit of a better performance than what he did against Islam the first time, because my goodness, horrible performance. But yeah, man, as for Michael Chandler, this one's a little bit interesting to me. I kind of believe, like, what do you want to do with him? Because he kind of needs to get a win to get back on track, but you don't want to give him a lower level name like a Beneil Dariush or someone like that. You kind of want to give him someone, that's a big name. First to mind for me was Renato Moicano. And I know Renato Moicano and Paddy Pimblett is probably going to be on that fight card, the London card, or I think it's London. And so that's probably not going to happen. I guess if, they want to do Max Holloway, that's definitely a fight that I could see happening for sure. And that's probably the one that's going to happen. But look, man, honestly, like, I don't really see that fight being close. I kind of just see Holloway tearing him apart. But, Michael Chandler's always bringing it. It's always a fun fight. I'd love to see that fight nonetheless. But, yeah, man, a great co-main event. And we'll see what's next for both those guys. Bo Nickel beats Paul Craig via a decision. Look, I like Bo Nickel, but not an impressive performance, okay? Joe Rogan went and said, oh, he's only been striking for 2 years. You got to have some improvement in 2 years. That's not a short amount of time. You got to get better, okay? And he's working with great coaches. He has the ability to work with fantastic striking coaches. He's not looking improved on the feet by any means. And he's won 3 fights in a row now. You got to kind of give him a test. You can't keep giving him these, old guys that are good stylistic matchups. Bo Nickel's about to be 29. He's not 25. He's not 22. He doesn't have all of this time, okay? He's got to get going and get into the fire with some of those good guys. And that's why I've put him against Anthony Hernandez, okay? Now, look, I think he'd probably get, it'd be a tough fight, but it would be a great stylistic matchup. Fantastic. Anthony Hernandez is great wrestling. He's got great pressure. He's got great cardio. And, if I'm looking at it, I think Bo Nickel can hold up, okay? His cardio and endurance is really, really good. Now, in the striking department, I do think, Hernandez is a little bit better, but he's not that much better. And who gets the better of who on the ground? I think Bo Nickel does. I think it's a really intriguing matchup, but I don't know if the UFC is going to do it because they keep giving him these baby-ass fighters. He's got to get back in there, early next year, March, okay? He's going to be 29 soon, man. It's not like he's 25. He's got to get better, and if he wants to get better, he's got to fight better, guys. I think this is an absolutely amazing fight. I mean, I make some great fights, and this would be a fantastic fight, and I really do think, it's a winnable fight for Bo Nickel because Anthony Hernandez is going to come in there and wrestle. Bo Nickel's a better wrestler. Bo Nickel has great endurance. I'm sure he can wrestle for days. So I think it's a good fight. But y'all let me know what you think about that one because that one's a little bit different. But yeah, man, Bo Nickel, not a great performance, but he's got to get into the fire, man. So yeah, next Mauricio Ruffy beats James Lontop via decision. And a good showing from Mauricio Ruffy. He did slow down, which concerns me, which I did talk about, man. If Lontop, like I said, he's really durable. If he's still in front of Ruffy, I think he can give him some trouble. And that's what happened. But a good showing from Ruffy, man. He hit Lontop with a right hand that didn't even hurt Lontop. It just sat him down, and he got up and it was the force of the right hand that sat him down. That dude has insane durability, man. I'll say that. But look, I'm not that high on Ruffy, okay? But I did make a fight that, is kind of fire, all right? The UFC likes Ruffy. He's gotten two wins in the UFC. They love him a lot. I think you do him versus Bobby Green, man. This fight would be sick, all right? You got two of those, elusive styles where hands low, eluding shots, good head movement. Ruffy with that great power, the great timing. How does he deal with Bobby Green, a guy who's going to pour on that volume and can really take over a fight later on? I think that's a sick fight, man. Y'all let me know what you think about that one, because I think that's one of my best ones I made in a minute. Because of those styles colliding. Bobby Green's one of my favorite fighters. I love watching his style. I love the guy a lot. He's one of my favorites for sure. And it'd be a sick fight, man. It definitely would be. Ruffy's got that KO power, and Bobby Green's elusiveness. They're both elusive. Definitely a fight I want to see in the future. But y'all let me know what you think about that. Marcus Mcghee beats Jonathan Martinez to a decision, and it got a little bit hairy towards the end there. Martinez was getting off those leg kicks, and those are such a dangerous weapon that he has. But people were wondering why, Martinez was so tentative to go early on in that fight. And I do think it's because of this singular thing, a boxing essential, that Marcus Mcghee was executing. And it was going in with those combinations and then disrupting, Jonathan Martinez with the jab immediately right after that. Something every, boxer does. It's such a great weapon. And he used it fantastically, executed it perfectly. He looked really, really good early on into that fight. A lot of volume. He looked fantastic, actually, I want to say. And then it got hairy. Towards the end of that second round, man, you could see the damage adding up. Mcghee did not like those leg kicks in the second. I know he doesn't like leg kicks notoriously, and I still picked him. And if Martinez would have gotten on those legs early, it would have been tough. But Mcghee did a really, really good job of the footwork was way too much for Martinez. The combinations, the speed. And as for what's next for Mcghee, man, I think, a sick stylistic matchup fight is going to be him versus Aldo. Okay. That's such an amazing fight where you got two guys with really, really crisp hands. They're fast combinations. It would be a great fight. And I know Aldo might have a different fight in the future. He's kind of been fighting these guys like Bautista and Martinez, but I would really like to see Mcghee versus Aldo. I think that fight would be great. Both guys, like I said, great combinations, very fast, good footwork. I'd like to see how that go because I think it'd be such a fun fight to watch. And yeah, man, what a really good win for Marcus Mcghee. And we'll see what's next for the Jim Miller gets the submission win over Damon Jackson. I did end up picking Damon Jackson, got my pick wrong. I don't regret it at all because I really do believe if Damon would have kept that pressure up, I think, we would have seen Jim Miller gas out a little bit, but he wrapped up that guillotine and that was disgusting, man. Jackson put himself right into it, but Jim Miller's ghillie is really, really good. It really is. That was so tight, and Damon Jackson wasn't going anywhere. I knew it was over immediately when that got locked up. But I do think that, Jim Miller still got it a little bit. I didn't make him a fight, but it is a pretty good win for him. We'll see what's next for the dude. David Onama beats Roberto Romero. And I told you guys in the predictions video, I was like, Roberto Romero's got some dog in him. I like his style a lot, and he really came out and showed, okay? He dropped David Onama early into that fight, was landing some nasty calf kicks early on into that fight. And all three judges scored that round for Onama, which I know he hurt Romero at the end, but I don't really understand that. When you look at that round, Roberto Romero came out there, hurt Onama, dropped him, landed multiple, like probably 7 calf kicks early on in that fight where Onama wasn't doing really anything. And then he goes out there and gets a submission attempt, almost submits David Onama. And you kind of look back at it, and how the hell did they give Onama that round? I don't know. But what a really good performance from Romero. He really did look good. The combinations were on point. Very aggressive style. I like his game a lot. And I did say in that predictions video, I liked his game. As for what's next for Onama, y'all hold on. It's about to get hot in here. David Onama versus Julian Erosa. Guys, do I really make the best? I make the best fights. I do. Thank you. David Onama versus Julian Erosa would be an absolute classic. A classic banger that you could put on a featured prelim of a pay-per-view that would get fight of the night without a doubt. Okay, both these guys are long, rangy, aggressive strikers, as well as Juicy J, aggressive submission game. The durability of Juicy J is a little bit concerning, but this fight would be an absolute classic of a fight. I'd really love to see this, but we'll see what they do. It kind of makes sense ranking wise as well. But yeah, man, that fight would be sick, but really good win for David Onama. Marcin Tybura beats Jahanta Diniz via a finish. That was a brutal, brutal finish. Nasty elbows by Marcin Tybura. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit salty about this one. I was very salty. I did pick Jahanta Diniz to win this one. He comes out there, knocks Marcin Tybura down, and then follows him to the ground and gets reversed. I believe it was. I don't know how, but he ended up on his back somehow by following Tybura to the ground, going for the finish. And yeah, he paid for it badly, man. He got his ass kicked and sliced open with elbows. Brutal, brutal ground and pound from Tybura. And he looked like a fish out of water on the ground, man. I thought he'd look a little bit better from his back. He looked atrocious on his back. And that's a major, major concern for the guy because, it was levels. And Marcin Tybura is a pretty good grappler, but he's not anywhere near the top guys of grappling in that division. And he's got a lot of work to do. So he needs to get his ass back in the gym, and start rolling, bro, because that was a clinic by Marcin Tybura on the ground and a good win for him. I'm not going to match make for him because honestly, I don't really care. But a good win for Tybura nonetheless. And yeah, we'll see what's next for him. Ramiz Brahimaj knocks out Mcghee. I did pick Mcghee, and I am regretting it, obviously. But look, I got to give credit to Ramiz. He looked like he worked on his striking a lot because the Ramiz that I've seen, that I saw on tape study, man, he has no striking, no gas tank. And, he looked really good on the feet. So I applaud his how much he worked because I really do appreciate when somebody comes out there and works on something that hard. And he looked like he did. His technique was on point, and he looked pretty good and knocked out Mcghee. As for Mcghee, man, I don't even know if this dude could headline a regional card, bro. It's that bad. So maybe he can go to Street Beefs and get a couple fights there. But it was bad, man. The guy's got to go from the UFC. He's had too many opportunities, and he's definitely a guy that's going to get cut. But Ramiz, man, I did, like I said, that training with Bilal, man, it changes you, okay? And so good win for hold on. Okay win for Ramiz, and we'll see what's next for him. The biggest disappointment on the card, man. Basil Hafez gets knocked out by Oban Elliot. As you guys know, man, I was so high on Basil to come out there and win that fight, man. And I really did think he was going to. And look, I know it wasn't great, but he was winning on the scorecard, so I will take that to heart and say it wasn't a horrible bet. And if you'd give me that bet, I'd take it every single time, by the way, okay? But the game plan, I was very, very, very confused for the game plan of Basil Hafez. I don't know what he was going and trying to do. Was he really trying to have a technical fight with Oban Elliot? Now look, Oban Elliott's not a great fighter, not a good fighter either. He'll never make the top 15. By the way, Nicholas Dalby beats him 30-26, so we'll get that out of the way early. But I just didn't see that pressure from Basil that I usually see. That pressure, that style where he's going in there brawling. And he just sat back at range, and I don't understand why, because every time he'd go, he'd usually have success, okay? And I saw no takedowns attempted, which is very, very weird to me as well. I really did think he'd have an advantage with the takedowns. I know Oban is pretty good on the ground. That's his best thing, is on the ground. But I really believed in Basil Hafez's grappling, and I know maybe I got fooled from the JDM fight, but I go back to where he is trained with Gaethje and Usman. They talk so highly of his grappling, and I saw nothing from it. And as well in the striking department, no output. It was very, very weird. He was just out there taking calf kicks, and I don't know what it was. And then he ended up getting knocked out by Oban Elliot. Crazy, crazy, crazy how MMA works sometimes, because I had to eat my words, because I said, what is Oban Elliot going to do? Go out there and knock Basil Hafez out? And I completely ate my words, and I was shocked at the outcome. Very, very shocked. And look, man, the shit happens. It is what it is. But yeah, man, a good win for Oban Elliot. I have to give him some credit, but I don't think he's a good fighter. And like I said, if you give me that number on Hafez, I'd take it every single time. I think if he comes in there with a little bit of a better game plan to go out there and pressure and not sit at range, I think he does better. Because, I mean, if we're being honest here, man, Oban Elliot's not great on the feet. He's okay. And it just seemed like Basil was so tentative. And in that Madalena fight, going forward the whole entire fight, Mcghee fight, going forward the whole entire fight, taking chances, extending those combinations in the pocket, and he did none of that. And, it's very confusing to me, because that's his fight style. It really is very effective. And he didn't go out and do that. And I don't know why. So, yeah, I would take that bet over and over again. I still would. But it is what it is, man. Shit happens. I'm going to lose some, win some. but I'm going to be back for next week, Macau card. I guarantee you that. That's going to be it for me today, man. I hope y'all boys enjoyed. I will catch you in the next one.